As a homicide detective, I've seen the worst of humanity. Stabbings, shootings, the most brutal acts one person can inflict on another. I've investigated many disturbing cases.
But there's one that burrowed deep, a splinter in my mind that I can't extract. The one that still, after all these years, haunts me.
It started like many others, a call to a suburban house. Uniforms were already on scene, the usual grim quiet hanging in the air. But something felt off from the moment I stepped out of my car.
The house itself was unremarkable. Tidy lawn, picket fence, but the silence was too profound, too heavy, like a vacuum. Inside, the first officer I saw looked pale. He just pointed towards the living room. "You need to see this, detective," he said, his voice barely a whisper. The living room was average. Sofa, coffee table, family photos on the mantel, and on that sofa sat a family, father, mother, and a young boy, maybe 8 years old. They were all dead, no signs of struggle, no obvious wounds, just sitting there, eyes open, staring blankly ahead. But that wasn't the worst part. The boy, he was smiling, a wide, unnatural, joyful grin completely at odds with the scene. It wasn't a rictus of death, it was a genuine, happy smile. Our medical examiner was baffled. He found nothing, no toxins, no trauma. It was as if they'd simply stopped, except for that smile.
Days turned into weeks. We dug into their lives. Normal, unremarkable people. No enemies, no debts, no cult affiliations, nothing. The only thing out of place was a small antique wooden box we found in the boy's room hidden under his bed. It was empty. And there, still in his room, as we searched for anything, we found the drawings, hundreds of them, tucked away in a drawer. Those drawings, that impossible smile, it became an obsession. The case was cold, but it was all I could think about. I started seeing that grin in the shadows and reflections, even in my sleep. Weeks passed. They tried to put me on other cases, but that house, that room, kept calling to me. I knew it wasn't over. I knew something was still there, waiting. One night, I couldn't take it anymore. I drove back to that silent street, my service weapon heavy on my hip. The house loomed, darker than I remembered, like a wound in the night. I let myself in. The silence inside was different this time, not empty, but watchful. I went straight to the boy's room. It was colder in there, unnaturally so. The smell of dust and something else, something sweet and rotten, faintly in the air. I stood there, in the center of the room, flashlight being dancing around. The feeling of being watched was overwhelming. Then I heard a faint giggle, like a child's, but wrong, echoing from nowhere and everywhere. My blood ran cold, and then on the wall where the flashlight being rested, it started to appear. Faintly at first, then clearer, darker. That same wide, joyful, utterly insane smile. Just the smile, etched into the wallpaper. It wasn't just in my head, it was real. I had to find the source. That thing on the wall pulsed with a faint inner light, mocking me. My mind reeled. I desperately swept my flashlight around the boys' room, the scattered toys, the dusty furniture, the drawings still pinned up, looking for something, anything, to explain this madness. That smile burned on the wall, a sickening, undeniable brand of evil. It had to have an anchor, a source within this tainted room. My flashlight being swept low, desperately hunting. Then, under the boy's small rickety desk, my light snagged. Not just discoloration on one floorboard, but faint, almost invisible scratch marks near its edge, the surrounding dust subtly disturbed. This wasn't just old. It looked like it had been accessed, perhaps many times. A cold certainty gripped me. With trembling hands, I wedged my fingers under the edge. It came up easier than it should have. Prying at least, I stared into a dark, hollow space beneath. My stomach clenched. Inside were things. Small, crudely fashioned dolls of the family, twigs and scraps of fabric, their faces bearing the same horrifying stitched-on smiles, and nestled beside them, a small, blistered, leather-bound diary. Its pages were filled with a chilling mix, childish, spidery handwriting alongside meticulously copied ancient symbols. A pact, a ritual to invite something that promised unending joy at a terrible, smiling cost. Witchcraft, a child's unholy pact. As the horrifying truth crashed down on me, the smile on the wall pulsed with malevolent light. The giggling became a chorus in my skull, the coldness burned, and the dolls, I swear their stitched smiles writhed. The very air crackled, the room a suffocating trap. I didn't think, I just ran. I never went back. The official report mentions none of what I truly found. How could it? That house, that room, what that boy had invited in, it was a darkness best left undisturbed, a truth too terrible to record. And sometimes, late at night when the house is quiet, I'll catch a glimpse of it in the corner of my eye. That smile, always smiling.